Well, just like that, you click your fingers and bang, we are back into a new round of NBL action. Round 5 starts tonight between the Brisbane Bullets, coming off a win last week, and the New Zealand Breakers. Remember them? We haven't seen them for about 3 weeks because they've been overseas, so we get a chance to see them back in action tonight. There's that and a whole lot more to talk about on Thursday's edition of NBL Now. I'm Jack Heverin, MVP and just all-round good guy. Derek Rucker alongside me. Hello, Ruck.
Hey, Jack. I am pretty excited. I know I say this every week, but the league just never lets us down. The NBL is full of so much excitement and drama and intrigue. I just never get bored.
Why don't we start with some news of the morning? And I say that in the morning because there has been a lot of stuff that's dropped between when we woke up and when we record right now. Firstly, a news article written by Matt Logue and Mick Randall. Cross Court is the article in News Corp. It's all of the latest basketball news and everything happening in the league. 2 really interesting tidbits that we need to talk about this morning. Firstly is the All Star Game. Dave Stevenson, the NBL CEO, has confirmed that it is well and truly on the agenda now. I reckon you and I spoke about this 4 or 5 times last season. It looks like more than just a possibility now, Ruck. It looks like a very, very real consideration for next season.
Yeah, and apparently the NBL and the Australian Basketball Players Association are in discussions to make this happen. And it was always a shining weekend when I was a player. And we were quite disappointed as players when it went away due to just the complications and the logistics of trying to get the thing scheduled. But now that we're in a space where fan engagement and diversity of that engagement is so essential to the growth of our league, I think it's the perfect time to bring it back, Jack. So if you look at the Blitz, Hoops Fest, the All Star Game, all these types of events that continue to add reasons for current fans to stay engaged or new fans to take note of what's happening with the NBL, I think they're all positives. And I think we need to continue to come up with initiatives from a league perspective that keep us at the front edge of basketball, not only domestically or in Australasia, but right throughout the globe.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because there's a few different theories. If we're going to do the All-Star Game, what's the best format?
I think we need to go with locals versus imports or internationals. And I think that would be really exciting. Back in the day when it was successful, it was north-south. And as I always say, Jack, just because it worked in the past doesn't necessarily mean it will work now. And I think fans would be highly interested in watching essentially the Australians take on the internationals.
Yeah, I'm the same. I had a good think about it this morning. To me, there's only one concept, one that's going to matter anyway. I know what people say about North and South and East and West and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure that's tangible. I'm not sure that means a lot. But Aussies versus the rest, I reckon that means something.
It definitely does. And you bring in an element of pride. The imports don't want to feel belittled by the locals knocking them off. And obviously the Australians, it's just a matter of what you do with the New Zealanders. Do you count the New Zealanders as locals? Maybe they don't have anybody that makes the All-Star team. Who knows? But you're that's not nice.
Well, they play as locals in this league. So I think it makes sense for them to be locals in this form. Yeah.
Correct. So you basically go Australia, New Zealand versus the rest of the world. And I think it would be a lot of fun and something that, again, that the crowd, and I think kids could get around quite quickly.
Watch this space, and also watch this space pretty quickly, actually. A report, as I mentioned, from Cross Court today. NBL teams and fans now stand to share in $150,000 worth of prize money in games throughout January as part of the Shootout, it's called. Each team will nominate one away game during the first month of 2025 in which they believe they will score the highest number of points. At the completion of those games, whichever team has scored the highest total points in the nominated contest will split $50,000 between the club and the players, and one lucky fan who also successfully nominates gets to win $100,000. It's also understood that no one club can be nominated more than twice. So, with respect, you can't all just nominate Brisbane in the month of January if they're struggling or someone else. And the idea, I guess, is to try and give a bit of spark in January when it's holiday time, people are going away, you've got Test cricket, you've got the Australian Open, you've got a bit of the Big Bash, you've got all these other things going on. It's a unique concept. What do you think?
Well, we tried the NBL a couple of years ago. We have seen the NBA go to its in-season tournament, and this has been something that's worked well in Europe for years. They've had, whether it's continental cups or domestic cups, just a little side competition, again, that stimulates fan interest, that's somewhat different, that give the players a bit of novelty during the course of the year, because sometimes the season, as exciting and as intense as it is, it can still get mundane at times. Also, for those teams that perhaps are out of the running, they haven't had the best of seasons, it can give you a little bit of a spark. So yep. I really like the concept. I also like the fact that you get to nominate a team as your mark. It's like, hey, yo, we want that team. We're going to run our points up against that team right there. I think some teams would take offense.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the reaction. I mean, like the example used in the article was Adelaide, potentially, who are a good team, but don't defend well. So you wouldn't necessarily have to nominate whoever's on the bottom of the table. If you think you can run 110 up against someone, then nominate them.
And of course, we want fast-paced basketball in the NBL. We know how high-paced the action is and the possessions and the scoring, and that's what appeals to our public. Our players love it. And I think, you only have to look at the success and the growth of the league over the past 3 to 4 seasons to understand, Jack, that it's a formula that seemingly is working quite well.
Mentioned news of the morning, just to hand, is that Aron Baynes has announced his official retirement from professional basketball. We did think there was a slight possibility that he could still land in the NBL this year. Well, it's not happening, and he retires as an NBA champion, over 500 NBA games, and went to represent Australia at numerous world events, and then, of course, came back and finished his career in Brisbane, where it all started. He's been such a wonderful player on the international stage and represented our country with such a plum.
An outstanding career, and one that I think still, Jack, had some legs left in it, but you need another party to employ you, and I'm not sure there was a suitable fit this season. I thought perhaps Cairns, we discussed that a couple of weeks ago, but putting all that aside, he's had a terrific career and someone that can walk away from the game knowing that he got just about all that he could out of it with his talent. And I think the fact that he was able to come back here, play in his home country here for a couple of seasons, was a fitting way to end it. I'm sure he wanted an NBL championship, but he can walk away from the game, I'm sure, very satisfied.
Congratulations, Bainesy, on behalf of all of us at the NBL, and it was great to have you back in those last couple of seasons as well. Good news for the Perth Wildcats, who travelled to New Zealand, Ruck. We haven't seen them since last Thursday. They've had a chance to just put the feet up and chill for a little bit. They're going to get Keanu Pinder back. He's been cleared from concussion protocols, so when they travel over the ditch and play at Spark Arena on Saturday in the early game, their big man in the middle will be available.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see that because, I've mentioned that I believe the fortunes of the Perth Wildcats are so heavily based upon the health and the performance of Keanu Pinder. We saw what it took for them to beat Cairns and Cairns. It took a massive effort from Bryce Cotton just to get them over the line. They don't want to be just getting over the line night after night. They need to separate themselves with margin of victory at some point. And I think against New Zealand, Jack, this is their chance. New Zealand are a team that will just be returning home after a long stint in the USA. They came up here to Brisbane, so they'll be returning for the first time. And that first home game after you've been away for a while is tricky. Yeah. And I think there's a prime opportunity for Perth to rack up a win, a valuable win, and kind of get themselves rolling again.
So Bryce is their best player, obviously. Yep. Is Keanu their most important player?
I believe so, because Bryce draws so much attention. We know his greatness. We saw what he did the other night in Cairns where he just ripped the Taipans to pieces. But somebody else has to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented because of so much focus on Bryce Cotton. And Keanu's got to be that guy. He's got to rebound the ball. He's got to be good in the high post in terms of dribble handoffs. He's got to be excellent on the defensive end. And the bottom line is, Jack, he's their highest paid Australian player. And with that payment comes great responsibility, productivity, performance, leadership, all those things come along with it. And I'm sure Keanu has some personal achievements that he would like to unlock as well. So here's his chance. I'm glad that he's healthy. Now he gets a chance to go out there and hoop.
Our man Pete Hooley is always a man with his ear to the ground. He's got a very good idea of what's going on around the league. He's got great relationships. Hools' hearing has become a big part of the NBL website and, of course, on Overtime every Tuesday night as well. This is an interesting one. It's dropped in the last 12 or so hours that Phil Handy, former LA Lakers assistant coach, is currently without a job. He's currently looking for the next opportunity, longtime assistant coach. Could he be, or should he be, the number one prospect for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix?
Well, with no disrespect intended, obviously, to Sam McKinnon, because we want to give him plenty of runway to show what he can do. But if you're looking at a guy with Phil Handy's pedigree, I think that is an excellent opportunity for both sides. I know Phil has been trying to eke and sneak his way into the head coaching arena, but it's been hard because he's had really good assistant coaching gigs. But now that he finds himself without a job at the moment, and Melbourne is a place where he started his career way back with the Melbourne Tigers. Phil actually was a teammate of mine at West Sydney.
Thought he was, yeah.
He's a fantastic person. He's very charismatic. He has a wealth of knowledge, not only on the basketball X's and O's side, Jack, but he is the godfather of skill development. He's someone that's inspired me from that perspective. He's really good with people, and he loves Australia, Jack, and I think it would be a great opportunity for him to come back and really get his feet wet in the head coaching space. And, it would do also, it'd be great for the league. Phil Handy is a massive name internationally in basketball. And again, what he would be able to do for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix from a marketing and from a basketball spirituality perspective, I think is something that must be taken with the utmost seriousness.
Let alone who he could bring, obviously, as well, from an import standpoint. The other one with this, Ruck, Felix von Hoff spoke about this on Overtime on Tuesday. Very rarely does Felix say anything sensible, but I did think that this was quite sensible with what he said, that there should be no rush here for Southeast Melbourne. If it takes time with a guy like Phil as an example to go through the process and to negotiate and to have him locked and loaded ready for next season, that's okay, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I made this point last week about Justin Schuler. The Bullets need to just settle and just be patient. And I think the same thing applies to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Just let this play out. Go to work every day. Do your best. Okay? There is no need to make some rash judgment, because here's the reality, Jack. Most high-quality coaches right now are employed.
Correct.
Okay? So you're working with a distressed market. Not to knock anybody who isn't employed, but you want to give yourself the best chance to find the best candidate, and that means allowing the market to open up. Once that market opens up, then you can make good decisions. Plus, in a negotiation right now, if you're looking for a coach who doesn't have a job, you may think that you have leverage in the negotiation, but if they sense any desperation, you're probably going to have to lock that guy down for multiple years without really even knowing if he's capable of doing the job or what you need. Let's see what Southeast Melbourne look now without Mike Kelly and under Sam McKinnon. Evaluate the situation, sniff around on the outside, and just see which way we want to go with the head coaching position as the season burns on.
Let's finish up with tonight's game, Brisbane and New Zealand, 7 p.m, ESPN. Check your local guides, of course, to find out what time everything is getting underway. New Zealand are a bit of an unknown because we haven't seen them since round 2. What about Brisbane, Ruck? How do they make sure that last Saturday night's win against the Phoenix isn't just a one-off?
Jack, I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what to make of that victory over Southeast Melbourne. I guess it was good. I mean, you had to get a win. Some beggars can't be choosy, right? And Brisbane just needed a win. And I think the same applies tonight up here in the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. Some teams play to a standard. Melbourne United, Perth, Tasmania, Sydney, they're playing to a standard. If they play to their standard or close to their standard, in most likelihood, they'll win the game. Other teams, while you're still trying to establish yourself, like a Brisbane, You just got to get wins any way you can. Once you accumulate wins, figure out who you are, establish your identity, know your playing style, then you start worrying about a standard. If Brisbane get this game tonight, Jack, they're at 2-3. Things start to look significantly different compared to how it was 2 weeks ago. Now, will they get this win? Man, I have no idea. But I know this. Parker Jackson Cartwright is the best player on the court. And when I'm in doubt, my tiebreaker is who has the best player. So I lean towards New Zealand. But then the second tiebreaker, Jack, is who's the home team?
Yeah.
This is going to be a fascinating game. And I can't wait for it tonight.
At the moment, you've called it a 0-0 draw.
No, I think Brisbane are going to be a little bit hungrier. I don't know how that long stretch away from home is going to work with New Zealand. Now, they got here on Sunday, so they have no excuses in terms of being acclimatized and all that type of stuff. They should be feeling really good. It's just whether being away from home has drained them.
I'll look forward to that tonight. Are you courtside?
I am courtside. Myself and Ariana Prather will be getting it done.
Well, look at you go. You're going to have your men's club stuff and you're going to be looking at $1 million tonight. Don't forget, of course, you can download this and every episode via the NBL podcast channel and the NBL app as well is where you need to be. All the latest news, the scores, the information, box scores from the weekend. It's all there. And if you haven't downloaded the app, you definitely should. You should put it on the front page of your favorites and jump on it as often as you can because it's got everything that you need to know. Ruck, go well tonight.
Always a pleasure working with you, Jack.
Thanks for being with us on NBL Now. We will catch you tomorrow.